Welcome to Rick's Scale Model Fix and another kit review. This time it's Airfix's hugely anticipated and long overdue Bristol Beaufort Mk.1 in 1/72 scale, and your kit number for this is A04021. The box top tour, and we're looking at some lovely digital artwork there and a little blurb about the history of one of the aircraft markings and its crew. Turning our attention to the box side, we have the two profiles of the marking options included, both in different camouflages. Skill level 2, couple of flying hours, and a little blurb about the historic aspects of the aircraft. The other side of the box, we've got the usual warning in multilingual format, address, and the decals being proudly proclaimed as being printed by Cartograph. So that's the box top tour. Let's have a look in the contents. So as ever with this range of kits, the instruction booklet is folded in half to fit in the box. And opening the page, we've got some information about the build in various languages and what all the icons mean down at the bottom. Construction commences with the cockpit floor, and straight away there's some options. So if you want to build it with the torpedo open in the bay, in the bomb bay, then you need to open up some holes. Wing spars and internal detail looks quite nice, and some little focus diagrams there just to help you on your way and make sure everything's in alignment, which is going to be quite critical to the fit of the wings later. Turning the page, we can see the continuation of the internal and the pilot's area with the pilot's seat and that wing spar section now. Moving on to the instrument panel, which is a decal being attached to the pedestal, the coaming. Pilot's control column, bomb aimer's seat, and there's even a toilet included. Couple of options in 16, so you can either have the doorway open with a gun in position or the doorway closed, and a little bit of trimming, and some of the plastic there is recommended or called out for in green. Internal fuselage sections coming together and being put into the port's fuselage side. And then a few more internal details, such as bomb aimer's floor, tail wheel and bulkheads going in. More plastic to remove on the other side, and everything coming together. There's some rudimentary detail there, but you're not going to see that. Fuselage halves coming together in stage 22, and a pilot is included. Stage 23, turret decking going in. Bulkheads in the bomb bay. Section 26 sees us move on to the wings, and these are split traditionally in a horizontal fashion, and then those are added up onto those wing spars, so that was why it was critical to get the angles right earlier on. Repeated on the other side with the other wing going on, and then we've got some flight controls, ailerons and flaps, and they look as though they possibly could be deployed. I just have to see what the two options are. Tail end, rudder, no option for drop to elevators, but I'm sure we could score along that line and just droop them slightly, and the rudder is a separate part there. Onto the undercarriage before the engine nacelles are built up. So you've got the bulkheads and firewalls there with the undercarriage legs. Nacelles coming in to surround those, a bit like the Blenheim if you've built that kit. Onto the engines, you've got the intakes, engine blanks, and nacelles coming together in two halves with a cowling, trapping the previous assembled section in between, and then a diagram showing how it's all concluded for the port side. Repetition for the starboard side, and then we're moving on to the cockpit glass, which is one piece. Probably going to help to have a canopy mask for that. side pieces going on and the clear nose and bomb aimer's position, so it might be worth just looking at the way that that can be fitted and seeing what works best. I would perhaps looking at that side piece going in underneath the cockpit. It might be better to put the side piece in first and joining it together there, but we'll see how that transpires in the build. Options for the bomb bay: we've got that single piece if you want it closed, which saves lining up the doors, being cut if you want to pose it open, and that going in place, and a nice little diagram showing where everything should be. Wheels going on with the undercarriage doors in the in-flight position, and again just follow through the diagrams for the silhouettes for the ones that you want. The remainder of the gear going on, so you've got the rest of the structure there for the main gear for the deployed or landing gear down positions. Undercarriage doors is just like saying watch you don't break the doors off there, I think, with those hand symbols. Wheels going in, nice little position diagram showing the position of everything on the completed model, and it does have weighted wheels, so perhaps that's what that's alluding to. Aerials, bits and pieces, and then it's onto the turret, which looks extremely well detailed for the scale, with all the internal parts being sandwiched between the two clear glazings. That's added, drops in, and the shroud added. Undernose gun, rear facing, torpedo if you want it, that's built up there, added to the model, along with the torpedo racking and release system. Landing lights and navigation lights. And finally the propellers and a few ancillary items being added to conclude the build in 107 steps. 2 markings are included in the kit, both in different camouflage schemes. So this one is dark green and dark earth over sky. I'll just let you read the text there if you want to press pause. And the second camouflage scheme is dark slate grey and extra dark sea grey over black. Again, I'll just leave that there for a second if you want to read the individual information about the profile. The small decal sheet includes the markings and some stencil data. It's printed by cartograph. There's nothing more to say on that, they'll behave superbly. So let's have a look at the plastic. So this is frame A in the usual pale blue grey plastic. It looks flawless. I can't see any mould imperfections or anything with the kit. Panel lines are Airfix and are consistent over the whole airframe and look really good. Despite what everybody says about Airfix panel lines, I actually quite like them. It makes the build process so much easier. You don't have to worry about rescribing as much because they can stand a bit of sanding for seams and stuff, and they take a wash really well. Internal detail is quite nice inside that fuselage. Pity not much of it is going to really be seen. And there's those elevators in there and the rudder and a bit of the undercarriage and the decking for the turret. It's nice to see that we've got a couple of bits of plastic there to protect the wing root fillets from being broken as soon as they stick out quite a little bit. I don't know if the camera can actually pick that up. Frame B has the wings. Again, panel line detail is fantastic and consistent. Nicely moulded. No unsightly ejector pin marks that I can see anywhere. And there's those flaps. They are different, so it doesn't look as though we could possibly pose those drooped, but we'll have a look when we build the kit. This is frame E, so this has the ailerons, torpedo, undercarriage and that pilot figure there, along with some of the other smaller details. Again, it's quite nice to see some of the detail on the undercarriage doors there. There is some raised detail on the instrument panel. And if the camera will pick that up, it's quite small in 70-second. So frame C has the cockpit floor, the propellers and the engine cylinder faces. Again, there's nothing further to be said. The moulding is 100%. No signs of sink marks or short shots in this kit. A couple of ejector pin marks and places that don't really matter, so it might be worth just checking the fit of parts as you progress, just to make sure they don't interfere with the fit of anything. And there's even some small rivet detail, very fine rivet detail there on that bulkhead. Frame D contains a mass of smaller parts, pilot seats, instruments and internal details, along with some of the undercarriage bits and pieces there. Again, typical Airfix, current production standards, fantastic. Clear parts separately bagged within that famous Airfix single bag, and they look to be superb. Framework is nicely raised. It should make masking, if you don't want to go down a canopy masking set, quite easy. But I think, in all fairness, judging by the scale and the size, Edard are going to come to the rescue there with a canopy masking set. I think would make your job a lot easier. So there we have Airfix's brand new 1/72 scale Bristol Beaufort Mk.1. The kit looks to be a delight. I'm sure it'll go together really, really well. And who knows, it might even feature as a future video build here on Rick's Scale Model Fix. So until next time, please everybody take care, look after yourselves and stay well.